about to graduate college. You have earned a bachelor's degree in science. Those of you who decided to continue with your education, now you have another important decision to make: choosing a graduate school. According to the last available report of the Council of Graduate Schools, over 2 million college graduates applied for a spot in a graduate school in 2017 in the United States. There is a huge interest in postgraduate education. This comes as no surprise, as obtaining a master's or a Ph.D. degree provides better opportunities, finding a better paid job, and opens more routes for a successful career development. But how do you choose a graduate school that is right for you? There are over 5,500 universities in the entire United States, averaging at around 115 per state. Finding the graduate program that will suit you might feel truly overwhelming. In this video, I will try to make your decision a little easier, discussing aspects you might want to consider when choosing your educational home for the next 5 years. School's prestige. Attending a university that is well established in the academic world and is known to produce successful graduates seems like a reasonable choice to make. Ivy League schools are routinely known to produce graduates that are greatly appreciated in the job market, hired more willingly than students who are alumni of lesser-known institutions. Having said that, attending one of the best schools in the country is not required, as well does not automatically mean that you will be a better candidate for the future job. Any university that has connotations of academic excellence can produce successful future employees. Let us look at this example. John Smith is a graduate student of one of the Ivy League's universities. As a microbiology major, he has spent 5 years working hard on a project. His work, even though noble and important, resulted in publishing only one scientific paper so far. Then we have Emilia Jones, a microbiology graduate student of a lesser-known institution. Her lab does research on viruses, and she uses animals to investigate viral pathogenesis. She attended a few scientific virology conferences where she presented her research. She also published 2 scientific papers, as well as did some outreach activities, among others the discussion board about vaccines, how they work, and if they are indeed dangerous. Which of the 2 graduates would you hire as an employer? Even though prestigious universities provide excellence in teaching and research, just attending the school does not give you a guarantee of a good job after you graduate. In science, the success of you finding a good job usually directly correlates with the following factors: number of published scientific papers, variability and depth of acquired skills. Do you know a lot of valuable laboratory techniques? Do you have experience working with animals? Can you do public speaking, reflected by teaching experience or presenting at a conference? Did you do any volunteer work, showing your passion for what you do, including scientific outreach and again attending conferences and scientific meetings? When exploring the long list of universities, make sure that your chosen school is known for creating opportunities for its students to excel in all these areas. Affordability. American universities combine first-class teaching and world-renowned research to prepare students for professional excellence in the world of work. However, this comes at a cost. American education is expensive, especially when compared to education costs in other developed countries. The good news is that, as far as graduate programs are concerned, a lot of programs cover the cost of tuition and health insurance of their students. Furthermore, they often provide students with opportunities of teaching and research assistantships that will cover the costs of living. When researching potential graduate programs, make sure to investigate financial assistantships the program offers to its students. A common practice is to provide guaranteed funding for 5 years in exchange for your time working on a research project or teaching classes. The latter option gives you experience as a teacher, which will be very useful if you decide to stay in academia and become a professor or a teaching faculty. If you are interested in teaching, you might want to check out the teaching possibilities in the particular program. In some programs, teaching is required, in others, it is simply unavailable. Depending on where your graduate salary comes from, you will have different arrangements in this regard. Most programs will require you to teach for at least a couple of semesters. When you meet with your prospective laboratory principal investigator, make sure to inquire about whether you will be expected to teach. The principal investigator may sponsor you throughout your Ph.D. such that you will not be required to teach, but that depends on the available funds. However, it is important to remember that there are programs that require of you to bring in external funding, for instance in form of scientific grants. Be cautious when choosing them if you do not want to end up being forced to take student loans in order to make ends meet. Location. Regardless of whether the program provides funding or not, you might want to look into the costs of living in the particular city. Some universities are known to provide better financial assistantships, taking into account the costs of living in the area compared to other universities. Furthermore, you may consider whether you would like to live in the particular city in the years to come. Even though it is probably just a secondary factor when choosing a graduate school, some PhD students spend up to 10 years working on their degree. Thereby, you might end up spending up to 1/3 of your entire life till now working towards your degree. If you cannot stand cold, you might consider not choosing a university in Alaska, for instance. Your own interests and passions. Probably the most important factor you should consider when choosing a graduate school is what it is that you want to do. What scientific areas are you mostly interested in? What type of scientific questions would you like to answer? There is a vast variety of programs to choose from. Every graduate school offers at least a few programs, with topics ranging from microbiology, cell biology, immunology, plant biology, and environmental sciences, and others. More and more popular are interdisciplinary programs within which students from different science backgrounds work in the same laboratory, trying to tackle the same scientific questions, bringing into the table their own perspectives. Such programs offer you training working in a cross-discipline team, one that you will most likely work in the future. Whether interdisciplinary or not, it is very important to realize that you will be working towards a degree for quite a few years. Therefore, it is very important to be working on something you feel passionate about. Graduate school is tough. Most of the time, it will be the most challenging time in your career up till now. Many hours spent every day working in a lab, teaching classes, managing undergraduate students. If you end up working on something you feel passionate about, it will simply make life much easier. Another aspect to consider that goes along with your passion is, what is your dream job? What type of skills do you need to acquire in order to be able to apply for the job you have always dreamed of? Find schools that offer programs that cover topics you are interested in. Check the program offers, read program descriptions, check the requirements for graduation. Finding a program that you feel excited about joining is probably the safest place to go. Productivity of the potential lab. A topic strictly related to your interests is choosing the lab you would like to work in. After joining the program, frequently you will be given a chance to do so-called rotations in your first year. You will be able to choose 3 to 4 laboratories in which you would like to work for a few weeks before making a final decision of which lab to join for the duration of your PhD. When choosing a graduate school and looking at programs the school offers, make sure to check the faculty members and their labs associated with the program. This will give you an insight into the actual projects that the lab works on, and you will be able to see for yourself whether you would be interested in joining their team. An important aspect that is worth checking is how many papers a lab produces per year. If you want to choose between a lab that on average publishes 1 scientific paper per year and a lab that publishes 10 papers per year, you might have a higher chance of being productive in the latter case. This might show that the second lab receives more funding for research, the work in the lab is managed in a better way, or the lab is simply bigger, which offers a lot of advice from fellow students and postdocs. What you have to offer. How did you score on GRE? Look through program requirements. Many programs set up minimal requirements in order to consider your application. If your GPA or GRE scores are below the required minimum, you might still apply, yet there is no guarantee that your application will be even looked at. Considering that applying to be admitted to a graduate program costs money, it might not be worth it if you have a minimal chance of getting into it. Instead, you might choose programs and schools whose minimal requirements you meet. To summarize, make sure to follow your interests and passions when choosing a program you want to join. Choose a school that offers opportunities for professional and personal development so that you can grow and have more to offer to the future employers. When joining a program in a laboratory, make sure they are efficient in producing scientific outcomes, like published scientific articles. Make sure you will be able to teach or will not have to be forced to teach, depending on your preferences. You want to have a decent life for the next 5 to 10 years, therefore research the assistantships you will be receiving from a particular program and DPI, as well as cost of living in the area. Do not forget that there are many good schools abroad that are usually cheaper than the ones in the United States. Have I shed a light on your decision making, even just a little? Please feel free to leave a comment if you have any further questions about the content of this video, or if you are wondering about any other details of the application process into a graduate school. Thank you for your attention and good luck with your endeavors.